Skirt, skirt. Told you we always been ready. I don't need people that's petty, that weigh on me heavy while I'm being steady. I need a record with Felly. We get it bouncing like Betty's, I feel like I'm Nelly. Don't bring the beef like a deli. It's leave on a levy, no sleeping on me like I'm Freddy. Chris Breeze, how I do, hit him with the moves. Left hand step back, ballin' like I'm Coos. All faith, God's plan, you just gotta choose. God slaps, nothing left to prove. Y'all gotta leave me alone. Lately I've been in my zone. Told them no cap like I fitted, but lately the flows have been straight off the dome. I feel like I'm MVP, like my name Patty Mahomes. If it ain't about money, don't hit up my phone, cause lately I've been in my zone.
Hello, welcome to the Cowboy Show, hosted by Ben Carey and Nick Gronerad, combining expert human opinions with cutting-edge simulation models to help you arrive at the best picks each week. Inside Edge Community. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to today's stream. We've got college basketball action on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. I guess you have to define beautiful. It's like windy and snowing and cold in Denver, which I find beautiful, but maybe not everybody finds that beautiful. I'm sure, Mush, your weather's a little different in in San Diego.
We are looking at about 72 and sunny. I think maybe after surgery I'm gonna go up to my rooftop pool. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and Ryan, how's the weather for you?
Yeah, it's currently 7 degrees. It'll be -5 when I leave in the morning tomorrow. So we're enjoying that.
Yeah, I mean you gotta take everything as it comes, right? I mean it's nice and temperature controlled inside at least.
Yes.
So we're enjoying that. So I've talked to them a little bit already, but we have two new guests on the stream. On the left-hand side, we have Not a Mush, and on the right-hand side, we have Ryan Cassis. So, gentlemen, tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Mush, it's all you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Nick. I'm based out of San Diego. I have a long history of being a sports fanatic. My kind of claim is that I didn't really watch cartoons growing up. I was always super infatuated with sports. I wanted to be a sports commentator. Then when I went to college at University of Arizona, I was undeclared. It was the only college that I actually went to that was undeclared. And when it came time to declare for broadcast journalism, they asked me to retake 4 semesters of English because my priorities weren't straight. So I gave up that dream, got into software sales, and 8 years later have found myself stepping back into sports talk, and I couldn't be happier with a great community. And I'm just ready to rock and roll, man. This is just the beginning. We got good people on board here, and excited to see what kind of battle the three of us can put up today over the next hour.
Awesome. And Ryan.
Yeah, so I didn't want to go to college right out of high school, so I went into the adopted brother of the military, the Coast Guard. I went straight to San Francisco. I hated it. Then I went to Charleston. I loved it. Beautiful weather over there. And then I got forced here into Wisconsin, and I play golf all the time. So that's why it sucks for me here, except I got to play Whistling Straits a couple times, which was nice. But I've always followed in my brother's footsteps. He went to NYU for film for a year, and I loved doing videos and stuff like that. And then he showed me DraftKings when I was in high school, and then after that I was hooked. And then I started really sports betting when I had access to Illinois because, I can go down there, get DraftKings and FanDuel. And I've always watched sports religiously. I was part of a newspaper in high school and our news station, so I always did the sports videos and stuff like that. Love sports, and I love watching them, and then I learned that I could make money off it, so I started doing that. It's been up and down. When I first started, it was a lot down, and then I started learning the real ins of sports betting, and now I'm back on the up and up, and college basketball, surprisingly, I'm doing pretty well at. So that's me.
All right, sounds good. And once again, appreciate both of you guys for taking the time to join us on the stream. Hello, everyone in the chat. Hope everyone's having a good day. Would usually say hi to everyone, but there's tons and tons and tons of people here. So a general hello to everyone in the chat. Thank you all for being here as well. Couldn't do it without you. So quick rundown for anybody who doesn't know of how the stream works. We have 5 different categories, and for each of the categories, we have a college basketball game that we've picked out to talk about. We're just going to go one by one through the categories. And in addition to us talking about them, I'm going to throw up a poll for each of the games. And I want to get the audience's opinion. Your voice will be heard. Going to throw that up on the screen as well. And without further ado, let's get into category number 1.
Degenerates.
I was looking at Ballsack State -4 against Dickhead State. Ballsacks covered their last 10 straight games, and my boy says they're a wagon.
So I don't know about you, but I cannot think of 2 less appealing teams to watch play a game of basketball than Air Force and San Jose State. Both of these teams are slow. They're bad at offense. They're bad at defense. They're bad at everything. So what could possibly be a more fitting game for the Degenerates Only category than this one? So lines in this game, we have San Jose State at home, favored by 1.5 points. Over-under in this game is set at 125. So gentlemen, anybody have any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, my first thought is yuck. You hit it right on the head. Could not think of a less attractive game on today's slate, which is quite beautiful. But there's Monday to be made. San Jose State is just a god-awful team. They can't stack up anything, especially in their own conference. Having said that, Air Force isn't anything to write home about either. These military schools, although they are all different, they have a funny brand of basketball that they tend to play. And I'm just thankful that what they do on the court doesn't represent what they do for our country, because it all looks quite weak. Ryan, what do you think of what you've seen so far out of these military schools, but more specifically Air Force, being that you are a military man yourself?
Yeah, so these military schools, they can't be physical in basketball games. Yeah, you can be physical down in the post and all that stuff, but they're not flying, hitting guys at 1,000 miles per hour. They're football schools, right? Because all they do is work out, they get yoked, and they go out there and want to hit guys. But you can't do that in basketball. Both these teams suck at shooting. On both ends of the court. They suck at defense. Can I pick a side at this point, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. You can pick. You
right.
can make a side pick, or you can make a total pick.
Well, I am doing total because I can't put my money on either of these teams. But I am, when I expect a game to be fairly close, and the books expect the games to be fairly close, I like to lean the over. I have this number on multiple models. I'm not sure what the capitalized model has it at, but right at the number, either between 124 and 126. But I like to lean the over just because sometimes, get in those close games, we do stupid fouls with like 1 minute left, right? And we get some intentional fouls, even though they're both around 65% from the free throw line. Some of those are going to fall. And I believe they're going to fall in our favor. It's going to be a sweat to the very end, maybe on the last couple of free throws. But I'm going to expect the college kids to make the free throws today, so I'm going to take the over 125 in this game.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a close game, and in close games, like you were saying, the free throws definitely have a tendency to take games that should go under over. Again, neither of these teams are really all that good at anything except for losing basketball games. The model has this game as a 65.2 to 62.5 Air Force win. So for me, despite me absolutely hating this Air Force basketball team, I think they're my least favorite team in the entire country to watch. I'm gonna take Air Force here. And Ben, I saw earlier in the chat you called me a communist. Fuck you, Ben. I'm not a communist. you're a communist.
On
Mush.
the subject of free throws, have you guys had an opportunity to look at the numbers that these two schools do at the line?
Yeah, isn't it around?
Because it's embarrassing.
65% or something like that.
63% for Air Force and not even 67% for San Jose. So if this comes down to free throws, the sweat is not going to stop.
The I don't want to cut you off, but the thing that I realize is bad teams foul, right? So they're going to be doing a lot of stupid fouls, and I expect them to get into the bonus and double bonus pretty quickly. Even if we're getting 1 of 2 to fall every single time, that's still going to add a lot of points to the total.
So Mush, do you have a pick here?
Yeah, it's not the over. I think that I'm gonna have to lean much more towards the under, and that just has to do with what the Air Force Academy has done on the road thus far this year, and that is an 0-6 record against the line. They cannot put ball in basket, and they cannot just at any point. I'm looking at the last 10 games. They're 0-6 against the line. They're missing that line by more than 5 points each game.
All right.
So 0-6 as far as numbers are concerned is enough for me to stay on that course, especially against a team like San Jose State. It's just going to be so ugly to watch, guys. It's going to be abysmal. I mean, I'll be fully ready for this Arizona UCLA game. Thank goodness. But
Spoiler alert.
If I'm leaning on the under between these two teams today.
Yeah. All right. So quickly wrapping up, the chat liked. I actually just deleted the poll results. What did the chat like? I think it was the it was Air Force and the over. Or Air Force? Yeah, I think it was Air Force and the over that the chat liked. Oh, I can still view results. Okay, so I will throw up Air Force and the over. Actually, looking across all of the results, it looks like just the over. Hey, guys, chill. Next game. I know. We're going on to the next game now. Throwing up the over 125 as the chat lean. You guys, I mean, if somebody else says next game in the chat, we're gonna spend 10 more minutes talking about this game. So let's
we clearly don't have enough degens in the chat today.
Yeah,
we have a ton of soft squares that just want the obvious picks.
Yeah, so Fruity wants to hear more, so we're gonna go ahead and go to the next game for real. So category number 2.
Publication.
Oh yeah.
Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype.
So category number 2, public intoxication, is a game that the public is on, and weirdly enough, it looks like the biggest or one of the biggest public games today is Cincinnati against Temple. Also, yeah, Mush, can you turn your gain down on your mic a little bit and or speak from a little bit further away from it? There's been a couple comments that it's really loud relative to.
It's from the one and only Purely Retro, whoever that may be. Is that better?
We'll see. Let's let the chat decide. Trust the chat to be truthful and honest in all situations.
Absolutely.
So, in this game, Cincinnati is a 4-point favorite on the road against Temple. This is a matchup between a couple Big East teams, and 93% of the bets are coming in on Cincinnati in this one. This line opened up at -2 last night, has moved to -4 right now. I think I've seen a little bit of talk about this game on Twitter, but I'm curious if either of you two have any thoughts on it.
What is the percentage of the money?
I can't see that on
Okay.
Action. I don't pay for Action Network, so
Well, so
It's
I mean-
98% is on Cincinnati. The game opened up at -2, and it's now at, I believe, 4.5.
I would say there was value at -2. At this point, I don't believe there's any more value. This game is just so bad. I mean, I have it on multiple places at Temple -0.1, which isn't nothing. And then another place I have Cincy -3. Just because where the money is, I want to be a sharp. I would say Temple +4. Maybe sprinkle the money line a little bit. It's just such a bad game, and they think Cincinnati is going to run away from this, but I'm going to lean the home dog on this, just because of where the money is, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't have any other actual insight on this game.
so Mush, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, it's a tough game to read. I really like analyzing lines as far as line totals. I'm looking at a Cincinnati team that has a really good point difference between what they score and what they allow at 72 points for and 63 points allowed, versus a Temple team that is 67 and 67. The total for this game being at 134.5. When I'm looking at the last 10 games, Temple, especially at home, tends to trend as an under team. Somewhat drastically, especially in this wheelhouse. So at 134, I would definitely have to put my money on the under between these two teams. Big East matchups as well. I have really liked watching Big East. That conference this year is highly competitive. So when we're talking about a spread here, it's funny to see that 98% of the money is going in one direction. And what I've come to learn is that you typically need to lean in the opposite direction. And guys, how many times have we seen a 4-point road favorite not cover?
Very often.
Like if the public could bet on just that statistic alone, on just that number, a 4-point road favorite, typically the home dog is going to figure out a way to cover that. So as much as I do like this Cincinnati team, I think that my money would go Temple and the under.
All right. And as far as the side is concerned, I'm with you guys. I like Temple here. The model likes Temple here. I have Temple actually winning this game outright by about half a point. So I'm not gonna overthink it. I'm not gonna fade the model. Temple's playing pretty well right now. They had a good Philly series. They have every year all the Philly teams play each other. They beat LaSalle. They beat Penn. They lost to St. Joe's. The game against Nova got canceled. And then they've won their last three in Big East. Or not in. I keep saying Big East. They used to be in the Big East. They're in the American now, as Ollie correctly pointed out. I fucked that up earlier. But yeah, I'm gonna take the home team that the model likes plus the points here.
Yeah, I mean, Temple is kind of a dog at home. They only lost by 5 to Houston, and Houston puts up huge numbers. So I can feel confident in your model and just in the assumption that this is going to be a tight game, low scoring, probably both teams ending in the low 60s. Yeah. Do you ever go back, Nick, and see how your model projected a certain school over the last 3, 5, 6 games?
Of course, yeah.
Or do you just say this matchup specifically, and we're going to run with that?
Yeah, I mean, the model definitely has biases towards certain teams. I mean, and it's biases in a good direction sometimes, and it's biases in a bad direction other times. So an example I would say is College of Charleston. This is a completely random example, but the model loves unders pretty much every game that they play. So I kind of just ignore it. I'm not as far as Temple and Cincinnati are concerned specifically. They're not really teams that have popped up as being plays for the model very often over the course of the season. So I don't really know off the top of my head if either of them have been favored or disfavored in a disproportionate way. But yeah, definitely in general, that is something I do. So the chat in this one likes Temple as well. So we have consensus across the board fading the public on Temple here. So on now to category number 3.
Courts.
We're going streaky! Yes!
So category number 3 is Court Streakers, which is a team that has some kind of long ATS or total winning or losing streak. And I believe that the longest active streak in the nation right now, at least that I could find, belongs to the Bowling Green Falcons and their overs. They have hit not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, but 9 straight overs. This is a team that flies up and down the court. They've got a lot of guys who put ball in basket. Daquan Plowden has been one of my favorite mid-major players and also one of the best player names in general in all of college basketball. This guy's going to be in the NBA next year, I would guess. Crazy good athlete, crazy good defender, good shooter. He can do it all. Daquan Plowden, again, name to remember. So total in this game is high. Actually, the number on the poll, I'd set up the poll earlier. It's off a little bit. So I had poll set at 154.5. This number's actually dropped back down to 153.5. But gentlemen, does anybody have any thoughts on this game either going over or going under?
So doing my research on this game, right, I quickly looked at Bowling Green and how they've been putting up lots of big numbers. And I quickly said, okay, well, since they've been on the streak, it's going to be up to Bowling Green. Then I looked at Eastern Michigan, and I realized how terrible they were, right? And I think this game's going to end up being, the problem is going to be, does Eastern Michigan keep up on their end, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Bowling Green's going to score no matter what. But is Eastern Michigan going to follow? And I believe they do at this point. When I'm looking at games against outside schools, they haven't really been scoring. Their last 2 games, they've scored 44 and 47 points, which does not make me feel all warm and fuzzy. But before that, they scored 70, 99, 72, 85, right? Against other MAC schools.
Also, it's worth noting that the 2 schools that they scored in the 40s against, Akron and Kent State, are 2 of the absolute slowest tempo teams in the country, whereas Bowling Green is a team that's the polar opposite stylistically.
Yeah, so that's where I was trying to lead with this, is that when I look at these pace ratings, and Bowling Green is top 20, and Eastern Michigan's top 40, right? They both play at an insane pace. I believe buckets will be falling in Bowling Green. And I'm going to take the over 153.5. And they're just going to be playing at such a fast pace that I wouldn't be surprised if this number gets 160, 170, 180 even. Especially if this game's close. So I'm going to be playing also the total over. Somewhere in the 160s. What do they give me? So I'm going to lean to over 153.5.
So
yeah, this line.
Yeah,
go
Mush,
ahead.
no, Mush, you go ahead.
I was gonna say that this line is definitely very tasty. I would imagine that a lot of people are looking at this thinking it has to go under when you look at the last 2 games for Eastern Michigan. But you guys said it perfectly. I mean, Kent State and Akron, I think that they average maybe 60 points allowed per game, could be even less. Then you look at Bowling Green, they average 78 points allowed per game. So it is a quick pace. They do understand how to score. And at 153 for 2 teams that allow in the mid to high 70s per game, I definitely anticipate this game still going over, and that line continues to drop, which is just perfect.
Yeah,
it opened at 154. It might be at 152.5 now.
Yeah, so the line moves here have been weird. So this actually, it didn't open at 154.5. It opened down at like 152, and then got bet up to 154.5, and now I guess has been bet back down to 153.5. So it's always kind of interesting when you have the line that moves up and then moves back down, or just in general where you get direct line movement in both directions from when the line opens to when the game tips off. I actually am going to disagree with you guys and with the impending win for the over in the chat. I'm going to take the under here. I think that the Bowling Green over wagon wheels fall off today.
Interesting.
Barely.
What does the model have us at, Nick?
So model has us at 151.9 total wise. So we're pretty much spot on. But the reason why I think that this is going to go under is that I think that Bowling Green is going to have a lot of success in this game. They're going to get out to a pretty big lead, and we're not going to see free throws down the stretch. We're not going to see a frenetic game in the last couple of minutes. I think that this is going to be a game that the tempo really slows down in the last 3 minutes. As opposed to picks up. And I think that that's going to be the difference here. I think this is going to be really close. I would not be surprised at all if it goes over. Again, 151.9 is really not a lot of wiggle room. But I do actually think that the Bowling Green over wagon wheels are falling off today.
I think that Eastern Michigan, right? This game is going to really depend on how Eastern Michigan is going to score. And I believe they're going to have to get around to the 70 number if this game is going to go over. Because Bowling Green's going to put up points. And I would be very surprised if they don't put up points. And I also realized that my book allows me to go to 161.5. And last time I disagreed with the Capwise model, I won. So
yeah, well, I mean, I have a lean on every side and every total in every game that's been played this year. So I'm wrong a whole lot.
Yeah.
That's just part of the way that this goes.
I'll say this much. Aside from what Eastern Michigan's record may or may not be, if you look at how they play, they do keep it close, especially as far as the line is concerned. They have about a 500 record against the spread, but those misses are not by much at all. When they do miss, it's only a few points off. And so I do like it coming down to free throws towards the end of this game. And when Eastern Michigan is averaging 71% from the line, Bowling Green's averaging 76% from the line. Using the similar logic that we had to that ugly game between Air Force and San Jose State. And I expect it to come down to free throws, especially in college where they'll foul if they're down by 10 with 40 seconds left. They will not let the clock run out like we see in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, it's because people in college are typically much worse free throw shooters. So you still have a shot.
I'm looking at this game to be something like 84-78.
84-78. Wow. So you guys are both way up there.
You're giving a lot of credit to Eastern Michigan here. I think it's going to be more of a 10-point game. But I would be very happy if Eastern Michigan stuck around the whole time.
Eastern Michigan is capable of scoring points. If you just zoom out from the last 2 weeks, and they've scored north of 75 in 6 of those 7 last games outside of the last 2. So they're more than capable to take us home and get the over.
Yes, I did just bet this game over 153.5 while we were
and yes, as did I. As we were talking about, I don't know if you saw me reach forward, but I did put a solid OUJ on this over.
It's something that I think happens a lot. I know that I was talking with data mining about it yesterday. There was one of the games that we were talking about, and he was like, I should bet this right now. You get the juices flowing. So speaking of games that are going to get the juices flowing, Let's watch our category intro for the game of the day.
Game of the
The ball is tipped, and there you are. You're running for your life. You're a shooting star.
So, should be no surprise to anybody who's taken a look at the entire college basketball schedule for today that the game of the day is the nightcap that we have, the game between Arizona and UCLA. Two top 10 teams, two of the absolute best of the best in the country. Number 3 Arizona, and on the road at number 3 UCLA. For the second time in a row, the line has moved since I made the poll. So we have, showing right now live on FanDuel at least, Arizona 2.5-point favorites on the road. Over under set at 150. This line was at 3 just a little bit ago. I wouldn't be surprised if it's still 3 on several books, but the poll has 3. I'm assuming if you guys like Arizona -3, which is the early favorite, you'll like the 2.5 as well. I want to start with Mush on this one. You are an alum of one of these schools.
Absolutely am. Bear down. Arizona, baby.
So are you rolling with your squad here?
There is no doubt in my mind that Arizona is going to go in and get this win. And at 2.5, I'm more than confident. Now, it makes me sick because the last time that I was on air pitching Arizona coming out and dominating on the road, it was against Tennessee. But this is a Pac-12 game. UCLA, I don't think that they are as good as their ranking is. I think that these LA teams are somewhat fraudulent. Arizona's roster is the best I've seen it in 10 years. Benedict Mathurin, probably a top 5 pick. Christian Coloquo, if he can stay out of foul trouble. Azuolas Tubelis, if he can also stay out of foul trouble. This is a game that really should not be close. I also really like the over. Arizona just has not stopped putting up points all year long. Our chemistry is insane. They just play together. And then our point guard, Kirk Risa, is a dog. One of those dudes that will probably be a coach in 20 years. But I have all the confidence in the world for Arizona to go in, say, listen, we're not the Sean Miller teams that we've been in the past 5-6 plus years. We're smart, we're disciplined, and we're coming to tear shit up tonight. And I'm confident in the Wildcats to do what they need to do and secure a dub in a really, really strong fashion.
So Ryan, do you agree with Mush? Do you disagree with Mush, or do you have no opinions at all? Which I'm assuming is not the answer.
Yeah, no, I'm actually just gonna head out. No.
All right.
No, I believe Arizona gets the win today. Do I believe that this game is going to be what Mush thinks it is? No. I think this is going to be one of those games that we just watched. Let's take a quick talk about NFL of Buffalo versus Kansas City. I believe this game is not going to be the defense that we've seen. Arizona plays at a lot faster tempo than what UCLA likes. But we're seeing the UCLA team that we saw last year. And I believe this game may be like the Texas Tech-Kansas game that we saw last night. Going into overtime.
I'd be happy if we saw 2 overtimes in this game.
Gonna go into double overtime. I believe this game is much more closer just because UCLA has a home court advantage. If Arizona was at home, I believe they would win by 10. Since it's in UCLA, it's a night game, nationally televised. These kids are going to be coming ready to play. I believe they cover the -2.5, but my best bet for this game is going to be over 150. And I'm going to play the total up as well on this game to 158 at +200.
You're all about these alt overs today.
Mm-hmm. I'll be playing both. I'll be playing the normal line plus over 158 because I believe this game can easily go to OT. But I believe both these teams can shoot free throws pretty well. I can trust them. They're the closest to the NBA that we can get. And I believe they will be draining the free throws pretty well. And this game will go over pretty easily, I believe.
Yeah, so I'm with you guys on the side here. I like Arizona to cover this game. I think the model has them by about 5.1 points to be exact in this game. But just on a more personal level, I think that this UCLA team is a little bit overrated. So it's basically the same squad that we saw in the Final Four last year, plus Miles Johnson. But that was a team that, I mean, they barely even squeaked into the tournament in the first place, right? If they lost in the first round last year or didn't make the tournament, this UCLA team could be sitting at 13-2 with the same exact schedule and be ranked 15th or 20th in the country. So I think that they're a little bit overrated, and I think that this Arizona team, like Mush said, they're legit. They're going to score the ball on anybody in the country, and I don't necessarily trust UCLA to be able to keep up. I think Arizona leads this pretty much the whole way. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I think this is going to be a 5 to 10 point win going into the last couple minutes for Arizona, and they keep it together with free throws down the stretch. So I also like Arizona to cover here. And
I'll just go ahead.
So the chat also likes Arizona. We had 53% of the vote come in on Arizona and the over. Second most popular vote, 23%, was on UCLA plus the points and the over. So the chat definitely likes the over in this game. So I'm going to throw that up as the chat lane. Actually, I'm going to throw up Arizona and the over. Same exact as Mush. Because, I mean, both of those were 70+% of the vote. So, yeah, Mush, what were you going to...
I'll say this much about UCLA, and then we can kind of move on from it. But I think another fraudulent team in the NCAA is Gonzaga. If you look at who Gonzaga, I think Gonzaga is pretty soft. Seeing how they perform against top teams versus the West Coast Conference, but UCLA got smacked by 20 by Gonzaga earlier this year, and about 2 weeks ago, UCLA lost to Oregon at home. Now, Oregon, pretty solid in the Pac-12, but they're not Arizona. Arizona's only loss coming on the road to Tennessee. The SEC is really weird. I love SEC home teams, like Ole Miss last night, like Georgia covering. So that was so fluky to me, and anyone that watched that, I mean, I think 4 of our starting 5 fouled out, and we're a team that is very, very disciplined. We do not put a lot of teams on the foul line. So I'm very comfortable with an Arizona win, and a comfortable win at that. And that's kind of all I'll say on my guys.
So Mush, I'm going to have to call you out here. We're not going to spend a lot of time arguing about this. This is a discussion for another time, but calling Gonzaga fraudulent is the coldest take of the morning.
I don't know.
That's all I have to say.
They're talented, but when you can't beat a ranked team other than Texas Tech,
other than Texas and UCLA and Texas Tech,
Gonzaga.
Yeah, Gonzaga beat then number 5 Texas. They beat then number 2 UCLA. They beat then number 25 Texas Tech.
And then they lost to Duke, and then they lost to Alabama. Right? So teams. So I don't know if Gonzaga is as good as we want them to be. And when I say fraudulent, I'm not saying they're a bad team. I'm saying, will they win the tournament? And that to me is, if you're a top 4, top 5 team, will you make it to the Final Four? Will you make it to the championship? And are you expected to win the tournament? And I don't know if Gonzaga has truly proven that they're at that level quite yet. But this isn't about Gonzaga.
No, this is not about Gonzaga. So Cargod's with you. Thinks that they're going to lose in the Sweet 16. I could not disagree more. I think that this Gonzaga team, I mean, maybe they'll struggle with top teams, but I don't think that there's a team in the country better equipped to beat up on okay teams than Gonzaga.
Sure. Sure.
So
As they should, though, right? As they
yeah,
should.
yeah. So I don't think that they're gonna. I mean, I think if there's such a thing as a lock for the Elite Eight, Gonzaga's it. It's just after that is the question. All right, so that wraps up the single game categories. It's time to move on to our favorite bets of the day. And in order to make a poll for everybody's favorite bet, what I need everybody in the chat to tell me what you are on today. Please give me both the team or the game and the line, so I don't have to look up the lines. I'm going to find 5 of them from the chat, throw them up in a poll, and then we will play a little video clip and start off with our favorite bets. So I see we've got Rutgers minus 3.5 from Ollie. Andrew, what is the line on St. So St. Thomas plus 8.5. That's a game. Mamacelli likes Syracuse minus 4.5. I mean, that's a lock now.
Mamacelli.
As a Pitt alum, I would probably agree with that statement.
Ooh, back to back on Kansas State and Baylor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, on the opposite side.
Yeah.
That's interesting. We got another Rutgers. Buffalo plus 4.5. I see in the chat. And I'm not going to throw up Illinois because that's the opposite of the Rutgers. Oh, no, that's not the opposite of the Rutgers pick. They're playing Michigan State. I think I've seen a lot of talk about Michigan State, so I'm going to throw up Michigan State plus 4.5. All right, so poll is up. Real quick, here is the category intro.
Big brains.
Come on. Think. Brain blast!
And Ryan, let's have you start us off with your favorite bet today.
Yeah, so I just caught an audible. I was originally on this Nebraska-Wisconsin game. Got canceled. Then I went to the Kent State MAC action game. It did not get canceled, but I hate it now. And so I'm going to Villanova and DePaul. I'm going to stick to what I like to see. I'm not going to take a spread from this because I believe DePaul will cover. I'm going to take the over. I believe it's at 133.5. So the game is going to be like this. What's going to happen? DePaul is going to be hanging around with number 14 Villanova. And then this beautiful guy named Colin Gillespie is going to start draining threes and cash the over easily. I've seen this dude destroy all my unders all year because he just starts making crazy threes, Steph Curry range, equivalent to the college basketball world. And he's just going to easily cash the over for us. So just remember that name. Colin Gillespie. He's going to cash the over for us. DePaul is going to be hanging around until the final 3-4 minutes. And we're going to hit the over because of it. But I do believe DePaul will sneak in with the plus 17.5. But my best bet of the day is over 133.5. Villanova likes to play a lot slower than DePaul. DePaul likes to keep the pace up. So they'll have a lot of possessions. But it doesn't really matter how slow Villanova plays because I know they're going to make the basket. So I'm going to take the over 133.5.
Yeah, I think the over there is an interesting look. I think Ollie makes an extremely important point in the chat. And that DePaul is missing Freeman Liberty, their leading scorer. Fantastic player for I
need to start thinking about my best bets a lot more. I did not. It's finding these injury reports and stuff like that. Maybe the hardest thing ever.
Yeah, so I will say if Freeman Liberty was playing, I would have been all over DePaul plus the points here. I also think that this line would have been closer to 14 if he was in. But that's the situation we're at. He is out. Let's see what the model says real quick.
Yeah, so I'm gonna stick with the over 133.5 because I believe that they're scrappy. They play good basketball. They're gonna hang it around. Everyone sees the little number next to Villanova, and they're gonna think, oh, Villanova's gonna crush unranked DePaul. But no, they're gonna hang around long enough for us to cash the over. I believe they're going to have to get around 60 points for us to get it. And I think or 65, 70. I'm thinking around 68. And Villanova's going to do their thing and score the basketball pretty easily.
Yeah, so Chelly says he knows Colin IRL, and we'll text him to score extra tonight.
Perfect.
So we've got the inside job, the rig.
Perfect. Yeah, we're rigging the game. I'm hammering the over then.
So Mush, what is your favorite bet in today's college basketball slate?
Yeah, I've been going back and forth. I have a lot of leans that I love, but I'm going to kind of stray away from what I typically do. I like to go a little bit off-brand, stay away from the mainstream picks, the mainstream games. But I think outside of the Arizona-UCLA game, I'm very confident in the University of Kentucky rebounding after an emotional loss to Auburn where they were ahead for a good majority of the game and holding it down and covering this 9-point spread against Mississippi State at home. The last emotional loss that Kentucky had was to LSU, and they followed that up with a 15-point home win against Georgia. Georgia and Mississippi State aren't very compatible when you look at what Kentucky can do against them, but as we know, college basketball is very emotional, and Kentucky doesn't want to even let this game remain anywhere close. They're going to get back on course because, like every Calipari team, I mean, there's huge expectations from Kentucky. So I expect them to have a comfortable win. As far as the over and under is concerned, game, I'm looking less at that because I think Kentucky should come out and absolutely dominate returning home after that really brutal L that they just took to an incredible Auburn team.
Yeah, I mean, Kentucky on their best is insane. They're a little up and down, and also the chat saying Ty Washington is out for Kentucky today.
We love that.
Any audibles, or are we good?
Well, Ty Washington is listed out here on Roto.
I need to start looking at these injury reports a lot more.
No,
I'm nervous that I'm missing something in the game that I like.
Yeah, for me, it's an SEC home team. It's a Kentucky team that cannot take another loss and should not keep it close. Calipari probably was reaming these guys on the way home because they had that game won, and then they gave it up at the end. So, a quick audible. The Southern Illinois game traveling into Loyola is an interesting one. Southern Illinois' head coach was on Loyola's staff a few years ago. So he's returning home. He's a local guy. So at a 12.5-point spread, that's one that I want to keep my eyes on as far as a favorite play of the day. I don't know if I could commit to that yet. I also really love the Syracuse Pitt game. But I'm sticking with Kentucky. You know, Ty Washington is great. I think he averages something like 14 points a game, but you're a Kentucky team. You should be deep enough to handle the loss of a player.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this Mississippi State team is really good. They had a little bit of a meltdown in their last road game against Florida, so I think Kentucky, even without Ty, is a safe pick.
Are you able to grab what the model is saying about that?
Yeah. Well, so model actually has Kentucky winning by 7. But I mean that's super close. Mm-hmm. Just basically a coin flip. Wow, look who we got in the chat. Book It Sports.
Book It Sports.
Book It Sports. First time chat. Welcome. Nice to meet you, Book It Sports. Welcome.
What's the name of the app called again?
I don't know.
Oh my god.
So real quick. We've got about 5 minutes to wrap up before it is time to hop on over to the Book It stream. The poll result is in from the chat. The chat, I think not so surprisingly, voted for Michigan State as their favorite bet today. It was a close one. Surprisingly, St. Thomas plus 8.5 came in as the runner-up. That was a little surprising to me. That was a candidate for D-Gens only. Right? Who the fuck wants to bet St. Thomas? Apparently, a lot of people though. Michigan State plus 4.5 against Illinois was the chat winner. And for me, my favorite bet today is Missouri State minus 5.5 against Indiana State. This is a line that makes absolutely no sense to me. Indiana State is not a very good team. Oh, and also I saw this and I instantly knew that Krabs was going to be on Indiana State. So I'm not surprised at all that this is a model versus Krabs spot. Indiana State is not a very good team. They're pretty mediocre. I think they're only 1-5 right now in Missouri Valley play. They've played a couple teams close, but that includes a couple of the worst teams in the MVC. Missouri State, on the other hand, is on fire. They are so good. I mean, they were in our preseason college basketball stream that we did. We had Missouri State listed as one of like a sleeper best mid-major teams in the country. This team is legit. I think that people who don't watch, and I'm not calling out Krabs specifically with this. Krabs watches a lot of basketball, but just generally speaking, people who don't watch a lot of mid-major basketball will look at records and see two teams with pretty similar records overall, and think that a team getting 5.5 at home is a good value here. But Missouri State is just far and away the better team. And yeah, they have the best player in the conference. What's his name? Why am I slipping his name? But he's been named, I think, National Player of the Week 3 weeks in a row.
Wow.
Which is absolutely insane. Yeah, it's like Isaiah Mobley or something like that, I think is his name. He's put up like 40 points twice in the last 3 weeks, plus a 30-point game and a couple of games in the 20s. This Missouri State team is so good. Gage Prim is another really, really excellent player for Missouri State, and I think that they handle business pretty easily. I think they take it by 15.
Nick, can you do me a favor?
Absolutely.
I've had my eyes on this Miami of Ohio against Ball State game for Miami to cover on the road, but for that game to go over. Is that one that jumps out to you on your sheet there?
I like Miami, Ohio today. I do. That's a bet that I have placed.
All right, amazing.
I do want to say before we wrap this up, I realized how much of a square I am, and that I bet over on 4 out of 5 of these picks. So I don't like watching unders, and who does?
No. Life's too short to bet unders.
Yeah, I bet under in the UNC game yesterday, and they broke my soul. So we were fouling. We were intentionally fouling with 2.5 minutes left. So
correct.
But yeah,
the line on that, Ryan, because that was my pick yesterday. The projected total went from 134.5 with 3 minutes left to going over by I think 4 points with 20 seconds left because they were fouling with 2.5 minutes left, which we absolutely hate to see.
Love college.
But this was great, Nick. This was awesome. It was a pleasure joining. Great dialogue, chat. You guys are lit per usual. I'm looking forward to doing this again sometime soon.
Yeah, and Fruity says his life is too short to bet on college kids. So I'm sorry, Fruity. I know that was a typo, but I'm calling you out on that. Your life is shot.
You got a long life ahead of you for it.
That's why I put 3 units on his place. So.
So yeah. So and just real quick, little verbal miscommunication. So Isaiah Mobley is on UCLA. Isaiah Mosley is the guy on Missouri State who's on fire right now. So just like one letter off. And yeah, so interesting NFL news. Real quick before we head over to book it. Sean Payton has retired.
I just got that information, which is sad, but very interesting. And I do want to say, I don't want to take too long, but I do want to say I lean Illinois against Michigan State.
Yeah, I don't know that we have news on Kofi Cockburn yet. If he's confirmed in or not.
He's still game time, but concussions are something that
they are.
very tough to read.
So let's go ahead and hop off. Again, big thank you to Not a Mush and to Ryan for being here. Be sure to go follow both of them on Twitter at Not a Mush and at Ryan Cassis. These two guys are absolute goats. Thank you guys again. Yeah, so much. Thank you to the chat. Let's head over to the Book It stream, and good luck to everyone on your bets today. And we will see you all tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.